Now, tonight we have a very interesting topic. We're going to be talking about change. And I don't know about you, but in this season, with so much being thrown our way unexpectedly, change is inevitable. We've had to adapt to change suddenly. We've had to adapt to change on multiple occasions. And what better to get information about navigating change than from couples that have seen many changes in their relationship, in their marriage. Well, before we get started, I just want to encourage everyone watching. We quoted a phrase about a week ago. I know Clive came up with it, called SME, being a social media evangelist. So what does that mean? That means that you are going to go and tag and share on your Facebook and on YouTube. I want to encourage you to reach out to your friends that you know have been struggling with change, that might be able to learn from change in this time. I know of many people, we've heard on the radio and on the news, a lot of the marriages have been affected by lockdown, because suddenly you are locked up with your partner and you've gone so used to not being with them that the divorce rate has actually gone up in this time. And so if you know of anybody that's been affected by a change in lockdown, get them on, tag them on. If you don't know how to tag or share, you just have to type in the @ sign with their name behind it, or you can just share it to your Facebook feed. So let me introduce our guests this evening. We have Marianne and Charles Luther, who run Unbreakable Marriage at Word of Faith Christian Center. Charles and Marianne, would you like to say hello?
Good evening.
Good evening.
And then for the first time in our 7 o'clock space, we have the extended Bluchnote family. We have Novi and Wesley Bluchnote with us, and we're very excited to hear from them. Good evening, Novi and Wesley.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Now, I just want to say hello to a few of our online viewers, because the beauty of doing things online is I've noticed we're very chatty, and I love it. I love seeing how people interact with each other, and I want to encourage you, if you, while you're listening and you have questions for our guests, you're more than welcome to type it in our comments section. And we just want to say hello to Nadia Kruger, who's saying hello, family. The Petzers are watching with us this evening. Shona's already gone ahead and tagged some friends in there. I just want to say, we've heard many testimonies of people who aren't familiar with our feed that have been tagged and have been blessed. So you never know whose life you can change by sharing this with. So to get our evening going, I would like to ask our guests just to introduce themselves briefly, tell us a bit about how you met and how long you've been married. Can I start with you, Novi and Wesley?
Okay, I'll start off there. It's quite a story. I think you said that we only have 2 minutes for each question, and but we have quite a story. To make it, we met in 1990, married in 1991. It was just a year of knowing each other, but of actually like seeing each other and having contact with each other. It's like we normally say we got married within 5 weeks of knowing each other, right? 5 weeks of physically being together. Then we got married. So there's Wesley from Cape Town, after from Cape Town, from Port Elizabeth, married Novi from Namibia, Windhoek, Namibia, so 2,000 kilometers. So we had to do a quick thing about it. And our marriage has been strong. We have been now married for 30 years. This year is the 30th year of marriage. We got 2 lovely daughters, Danielle and Tamara, and our marriage has gone through quite a few changes as well. But I think all the changes that really cemented our love for each other and our relationship, and it is stronger than ever.
That's
from
awesome.
my side, I always tell people that we actually had a long distance relationship. And to make this thing real, we had to play quickly. So as Wesley said, we saw each other only for 5 weeks. And at the end of the 5th week, we got married, even though it was a year of a relationship, but physically being together was 5 weeks. And I always tell him that I actually took a risk to get married to someone that I didn't know. And then he tells me that he also took the same risk. So yeah, 30 years of being married, and we're still happily married.
That is quite interesting. Charles and Marianne, would you like to share just a bit of your background as well?
Okay, background to start. I wanted to get married Marianne earlier, like when I was 19. And then my parents said, no. You can only get married when you're 20. So can you imagine, I turned on 15th December, I turned 20, 18th December. I said, yes, yes it is. I didn't waste time because I wanted this girl with anything. Before somebody else scratched her, I married her. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, so we married for 44 years now, 45 this year. And two lovely daughters. We had our firstborn passed away when she was 7 years old, and so we come through quite some drama in our life, dramas. But yeah, here we still. I know there was times that we wanted to get divorced. For sure, yeah. When the suitcase ministry, you pack your suitcase and you go, and then the next day you're coming back again. That sort of suitcase ministry. Yeah, so that is our story.
I just want to greet a few more online viewers that are joining. A lot of people are very excited for what we are discussing tonight. And I think, once again, as I mentioned, it's such a relevant topic. A lot of people are struggling to deal with the changes that are around them. I just want to welcome D. Watson, who says he's watching all the way from Germany. Welcome and thank you for joining us this evening.
Hello, Daniel, my friend.
Oh, lovely. Well, thank you for that. And then we've got Daniel Bluchnout also watching. Donnie Kruger saying good evening, everyone. And we are so happy for Willard, who's tagging. Thank you so much. Madge Bluchnout as well, that's also tagging. And Donnie Kruger says, good decision, Charles. Frederick Bluchnout is welcoming everybody this evening. So we've got some questions to ask you guys, just through, you've got a lot of years under your belt, so you have seen lots of changes, because I think we all agree that marriage goes through seasons, and with each season there's different challenges, and there's never, I think if you're not doing anything, your marriage is probably dying. So I want to start off with asking you, did you find that change was easy? Obviously your first change being that you've gone from staying on your own or staying with your parents to moving in with your person. Charles and Marianne, can I start with you?
Well, I will answer that one. I couldn't wait for the change to be Mrs. I think it was the nicest and most romantic feeling I ever had in my life, to be Mevrou Liter. So that was a big change in my life, because suddenly I didn't mind sharing the bed. It was quite exciting. But I did mind sharing some other things, and I discovered that Charles is actually a man with man habits. And so that was my first experience with change. And I can tell you that he's not like my father. And so I had to sort of quickly learn that there were some changes that's going to be strong in the family, because my husband couldn't care for the rules that I had.
Yeah, I think for me, it's like, the change also become, I also wanted to be this married man and bragging about my wife. And all of a sudden the changes came, to be married to a woman from a man, I always look at my mother, and my father was always telling me about my mother, and I said, you don't know how to handle things. I didn't actually really realize that this is the truth. There's a real thing. When I married a woman in my life, all of a sudden she's a woman. she's different, very, very, very different from me. And that change was quite to adapt to that situation of we are two now, we are one now. We're not I'm not living on my own, and she's not living her own life. So that change, I think, that is was a big change in our life in the beginning.
Sure. And Novi and Wesley?
Yeah, from my side, it was quite a challenge for me because I turned 31 2 weeks after we got married. And a person of 31 is quite independent, having my own, running my own life, being very self-sufficient, being financially independent. So my independence phase of my life or season had to change and to become interdependent, because now I have a husband that's also very independent because he was also the same age. So I had to learn to submit under this guy's authority. It wasn't easy in the beginning, but I had to submit because that is what the Word of God expects of me, to submit under the authority of my husband. So that was quite a big challenge for me. And also moving from Namibia, where I ran my own life independently, moving into the house of this stranger that I don't know. So that was quite a big change for me. And yeah, moving from Namibia to come and start a brand new life in Port Elizabeth as a used to be very independent woman to becoming an interdependent wife of someone that helps to control my life now. It was difficult. It wasn't easy.
Yeah, and from my side, I think I must have been a naive young man, 30-year-old young man at that time, because when when we moved now to PE, I came to PE with a wife, a woman on my side, and for me it was like at the beginning everything is going to stay the same. I'm staying here with my two brothers. They were still in the house with me, Greg and Ronald, and we were quite, at least we have a wife, we have a woman in the house now that can do the cleaning and cook for us. And the main thing is I eventually had a car. Although at that time I did not have a license, my wife's got a car, she's got a license, and now someone can come and pick me up at the cricket field, can drop me at the cricket field, and on the Sunday I can go and play my cricket, and then everything was just going to be hunky-dory. But it quickly struck me that this independent woman was not going to take all of that. And then after a letter that she wrote me and disappeared for half a day, I realized that I had to make some hard decisions, hard choices that I have to make. And although at that time playing cricket, being very involved in sport and the administration of sport and so on, and then I just made a decision. And then I must say that was a hard decision to stop my sporting career right there. So I decided to do that. And actually, to talk out of the bedroom a bit, my bedroom door bear still a remembrance of that specific day, because I hit my hand right through the door, and we left the door like that for the years. Well, we never replaced the door. Just as a reminder of my decision that I made to be with my wife, to look after and to build this new life that I'm having with Novi, and to build on and to cherish my marriage. And I think that was the best decision that I made at that time, leaving sport totally and concentrating on my marriage. And
Wow.
I can't, looking back, I'm not disappointed in that, because we have a wonderful marriage up to
That
now.
is quite an interesting story. Wow. Straight off the bat, thank you for your transparency. To all those watching, I want to encourage you. I know we have two married couples with us, and the whole reason behind it is February is the month of love. But I think it is important to hear these kind of stories also as individuals, because remember, in a marriage, it's two different people that are challenged in the marriage and outside the marriage, because there's outside factors that also affect things. And talking about that, another question that I have is, how did the changes that you had to go through change you? Was there any defining moment in your marriage that changed you? Wesley and Novi, I'll start with you for this one.
Yeah, no, there was quite a few changes that we had to go through. One of the big changes in my life, that was an easy change. That was when my daughters were born, Danielle and Tamara, and they were born. That was an easy change. I was ready for that time. I was ready for this two girls in my life. But the hard change that came our way at that time is something that we did not ask for. We did not look for that change. And that was when my son passed away in a car accident, and he was about 2 months old at that time. And he died in the accident. And that was a hard change. You don't ask for, you don't go and look out for changes like that, but it just happened. And to get through that was a difficult time. I had lots of guilt feelings. I had guilt feelings towards my wife, towards the Neil that were born at that time. Richard was our second born, and it was really a dark and difficult time in our lives. But I can say now that you cannot do these things, and you cannot get over these things. Although you never really get over it, but you learn to walk with it, to embrace it and just to go through it. Up to today, you still find yourself, you're not perhaps really over it, but you learn to live with it. And I think to handle and to navigate that type of change is important. That you must have close family support, close. And at that time, I must say, if I must mention people's name, Pastor Denver and Renee who played such a huge role. Pastor Kalyu and Dorothy played such a big role. Pastor Jimmy played such a big role in our lives at that time. And the whole church family and friends that we had at that time really pulled us through a very, very dark time in our lives. And after that, I made this decision that the joy of the Lord will be our strength as a family. And we stood on that scripture, the joy of the Lord is our strength. And that is how we tackle every change or difficult time that we go through in the family.
Sure.
Yeah, for me, definitely change. For me,
oh, no, sorry, Novi, go right ahead.
Yeah, I just want to briefly say, for me, definitely this change that we're going through started back then and still going through it, comes with stretching, rebuilding, molding, adapting, making sacrifices. And sometimes we need to choose to say yes in order to say no to something, or vice versa. Say no to something in order to say yes to something else. And because we don't want to leave our comfort zone, it's sometimes very difficult to say, okay, I will go with that, because as human beings, we want to be comfortable in our comfort zone. But yet, life taught us that your comfort zone can sometimes become very uncomfortable. So you have to change.
Yes, change is inevitable. I loved what you shared there, Wesley, just sharing from your heart, and especially touching on the fact that some changes just happen and it's not what you asked for. Because, there are certain changes that are inevitable as you grow older and so on and so forth. But when change happens to you as opposed to you choosing it, it's a whole other ball game. Charles and Marianne, I know you guys had similar challenges, but is there a specific time where change changed you, and how did that do so?
Yeah, of course, we also had a tragic death with our eldest daughter, and we do know that challenged us in many, many areas. But I think the thing that challenged me the most to change is the time that Sean was actually smoking. Would you believe it? Smoking and having a ball of a party. He's a Mr. Fun Country, and he just wanted to be happy doing his thing. And I, being the proper little church girl, hated it with a passion, and I hated him. And I hated how he was, and it was hard for me to really come to terms with it, because I was extremely judgmental. I believe he was going straight to hell simply because he's smoking and drinking and alcohol. I mean by that, not tea and coffee. And it was a tough season in my life. And then on top of it, we were going down, spiraling very down financially, extremely down financially, that we were really, really struggling to make it. And I remember one day, because I'm a church girl, you guys know, and I'm a very religious church girl, and I know the Bible and I know good habits. But I attended a Friday afternoon prayer group, and at this prayer group, the prayer leader, who was Christine Willicott, I was telling her how angry I am with Charles and how upset I am with him and how horrible he is, and he's smoking and he's drinking, and I just don't like it, and our finances are in a mess. And I remember her saying to me, she went to her room and she got out a book, and the book is called Fascinating Womanhood. And she gave me the book and she said, stop talking about your husband, and I will hear from you after you've read the first 5 chapters. Now, I really got to do that. And it changed me drastically in this, that I started realizing my mind was so focused on what Charles is doing wrong and how he's not performing according to my understanding. And I was the one hurting in the process, that I actually missed the full plan of God for our marriage. And yes, it was a tough season because I had to learn to change my habits and my marriage patterns, and I had to learn to change how I speak to Charles, because suddenly I learned that I was disrespecting him totally in many ways. And suddenly I learned that my judgmental attitude was actually, it was rotten, it was so bad. And there were many things that I learned at that time. So I think that's when change started happening for me in our marriage, when I started respecting, and you know, a simple thing, I started thanking Charles for little things he did. I had to find them. I had to literally in the day find 2 or 3 things just to be thankful for, because I was so unthankful and ungrateful because I was only focusing on that which I didn't have, and I forgot what I had.
You know, when I was in that situation and Marianne was moaning and bitching about all this smoking, sorry, I'm not supposed to say that. All this, and the more she going on about this, the more I smoked, and the more I said, I'm going to even smoke more. You know, and the moment every time you talk about the smoking, it's a big fight, a big argument. And you know, when Marianne started to, as you say, start to thank me for doing things and stop moaning about the smoking, I thought, what's going on here? There's something wrong, because it's like I'm so bombarded with this all the time. You are such a, well, this is this is the way I received it, that I'm the bad sinner, I'm the man that will go straight to hell because of smoking. So and then I felt start feeling guilty. And you know what? It was a month or 2 months after the start. I just suddenly I thought, okay, this is it. I'm going to stop. And I stopped smoking right there and then, obviously with the help of God, because you know it was very difficult. And I was a changed man. You know, I changed myself. So you know, change is not you, it's not the other person must change. I think that is you change and the other one will change automatically. I think that is what she's trying to say here.
I love it. And, you know, the point that you touched on was quite relevant. I find that, you know, also when we were newly married, change had to start first with Change starts with you, and then it changes everything else around you. And it's a choice, but so there's different types of changes that affect us. For those that are watching for the first time, if you don't know this, Charlotte and Marianne run Unbreakable Marriage. It's a course that started not too long ago, which we, are also a part of, and I think it's quite wonderful. I want to ask this question to Charlotte and Marianne. It says, a married couple is most probably the most challenged unit of our time. Now, running the ministry that is the marriage ministry, why would you think that? Why would that statement be?
Well, yes, marriages in general are so challenged. There's such a bombardment against the unit that God intended from the start. To get a family broken, to get a husband and wife leaving each other, it also hurts the family. And it continues to hurt. It's generations down the line. I know that the effect that a broken family has on people around them, we're just going through it ourselves now with one of our children, and it's definitely not pleasant. It hurts everywhere. But it's not just that. You know what? I think the enemy's plan is to destroy what God intended. And to be married is so important. A husband and wife, the reason why we get married is we actually say that what is yours is mine, and I commit to you for the rest of my life. Saying that, according to the book of Genesis, we also are those people that will bring forth the children that will glorify the name of Jesus. Brokenness cannot glorify the name of Jesus. And Charlie and I had a desire many years ago to start this marriage ministry. And so we started years ago. It's like 25 years ago already that we started Unbreakable Marriage. I know it was first Growing Together Marriage Weekend and then Romantic Weekend. But because of the systems and the world, and it gets more expensive to take couples away, the Unbreakable Marriage was born.
Yeah, also, Atisha, I think, you know what, where the Bible says one shall chase 1,000 to 10,000. I think it's this unity. When a couple is divided, that's where the devil really comes in. That's where things go wrong totally, when they're divided. And the one thinking that way, and the other one thinking that way. And we are very much our heart and our passion is really for married couples, especially younger couples, because we've been there. We understand what they're going through. If we visit a couple that's got problems, we actually got passion. We're passionate about it because we understand what they're going through. We've been there, not in every situation, but most of the time. And I think that was for us important, to help other couples with a passion.
That's wonderful. Novi and Wesley, do you have anything that you'd like to comment on that as well?
Yeah, I just want to agree with what Marianne and Charles said, that marriage is a covenant with God. And the word of God is very clear that where there's unity, God commands his blessing. And the devil hates that. He feels very threatened when there's unity amongst couples, because then he cannot attack them. And when there's this covenant between God and the couple, then the devil feels threatened. So we will not stop attacking the marriage, because it's his way of trying to destroy or interfere in that unity. So we need to be very, very aware. And as teachers, we see the damage that this is doing to the children at school. It affects everything. It has a ripple effect on everything regarding their lives. So in closure, I just want to say that the devil hates unity, and he feels very threatened with marriages, because a marriage is a covenant with God, and he doesn't want that.
Yeah, I fully agree with all three speakers.
A thought that came to my mind is also marriage is a representation of God and the church, Jesus and the church. And if you can attack a marriage, and that I was listening to an interesting teaching that was talking about through the years how we've become so desensitized, and it's become so much easier, almost like a trend, to get married and get divorced as you feel like it, which is really not what God's plan is. Novi and Wesley, I'll start with you with this question. What is the secret to growing through change? I mean, 30 years of marriage, lots of changes, lots of challenges. What has been your secret through that?
You know, you cannot do this alone. We found that we had a song on our marriage day. The Lord will take care of us, of the Lord will take care of you always. And we stood on that little hymn that was sang that specific day. And I think we always tried. We are not perfect. We do have make a lot of mistakes, but so that we learn from. But you cannot build your marriage if God is not in control of that marriage. If God is not walking ahead of you, He's not walking beside you or behind you. God must be totally in control of your marriage, and you must give everything to God. So that's important that we need to that is how we try to build our marriage over the years. As I said, we are not perfect. We make a lot of mistakes, but we try to learn from our mistakes. Like we say, that every mistake will be a stepping stone. There's lots of changes in our lives that occurred, and that actually helped to build us, that molded, that stretched our marriage. But yeah, God is in control of our marriage, and I cannot think of how you can build a marriage without God as the centerpiece of that marriage.
Yeah, it's important, our relationship with God, to be the foundation of this marriage. Because if we don't allow God to be part of every little detail of our marriage, we are setting ourselves up for failure. And we also stand on the scripture, Nehemiah 8 verse 10, that the joy of the Lord is our strength. Even when we go through difficulties, like especially the difficulty season that we went through with Richard's death, we had to choose joy. And that joy allowed us to get up every day and face every day and grow through that. And then also I want to quote Ecclesiastes 4 verse 12 that says, a threefold cord is not easily or quickly broken. And for me, this threefold cord is God, Novi, and Wes. If we can be together and we allow God to be part of this threefold cord, then we cannot quickly or easily be broken. That is our foundation.
Wow. Marianne and Shaw, would you like to add to that?
I think that we have, being human beings, we are naturally selfish. And if it's not about me, then it's not good enough. So we've had to learn to grow through change. You have to do, I believe in tools. You have to have tools in your hands, and you have to understand that those tools are powerful. The number one tool that we have in our hands is that we have fun together. We've decided that in spite of what we're going through, we will have fun together. Now, I'm not the funny person. He is the one. He likes to do all sorts of funny things, crazy things, but I realize it's a great energy giver. Second thing that we've decided is that we will not hold grudges. You know, your success is the offense you can forgive and forget about. So we will not hold grudges. We will focus on, if we have an argument, it's about the argument now. It's not about 4 years ago and all the arguments that we stored up. So we will not hold grudges. We will let go of it. And the other one is to forgive and to forget is the third one that I want to say, forget. And just let's move forward. And then I also believe that we have decided that in this house, we will love each other. Now, it's not easy to love when Charlie's awkward or when I'm awkward, because we're not perfect people. So I've decided to say my favorite husband. Somebody asked me the other day, so when is he not your favorite? I said, there many times. He's got different personalities, you know. He's got the favorite side and the not so favorite side. And then he's got the in-between. And I once said to somebody, there are times that you love your husband. There are times that you like him. And there are times that you are just married and then you are doing it by choice. So I personally believe these are the tools that helped us through our change.
Also, yeah, it makes it very easy, you know, if all these things sound so good, but you know, if Marianne is nice to me, it's easy for me to wash the dishes. I hate even a bed. To make a bed is like from the army days. I hate making a bed. But you know, if she's really nice with me and she's treating me good, then I'll do anything. Vice versa. If I'm nice with Marianne, she will go an extra mile for me. I mean, if I ask him, bring me coffee, he'll bring it, no problem. But you know, if things are not so well, he says, make your own coffee. I'm not, yeah, I'm not what in the house. Anyway, so yeah, so that is very important. Fun together, and you just have fun. That the fun part is, I think, the most important thing. You know, because your married life must not be boring. You know, it's just a one-sided. Yes. Only what I want, what she wants. You know, let's decide together and do things together. And you know, everybody must, yeah. So we fun is one of the things that we and be nice. Just a smile, man. Just a smile. When you walk in the door, just a smile. You know, dump back.
Let me add. I had to decide because I'm by nature a very serious person. So I decided a few years ago. Every morning I will give Charles a smile, and every night before he goes to bed, he'll get a smile.
Fake it till she make it. She done very well. She can fake it.
I just want to read some of the comments there. I see Debbie Kuhn saying, make him lots of coffee, Auntie Marianne. And Pastor Mariana also saying, yes, keeping short amounts is very important. And Edith Cora is saying, totally agree with that threefold cord. I just want to encourage those that are watching, if you have any questions, you are welcome to post so in the comments. And if you might have questions afterwards, I'm hoping that our team behind the scenes can just put our prayer line up and you can send it through as well. If you would like to reach out to Charles and Marianne, who runs Unbreakable Marriage, they run the Family Life Ministry. I know you guys are continually busy counseling couples and walking couples through things, which I loved what Wesley and Novi said. It is important to realize that you don't have to go through change alone. And I think especially in the season with lockdown, we are forced almost to be alone, but at the same time, we're not really. And we need to know that there's community that we can reach out to. I just want to ask Charles and Marianne, so many years of marriage, how do you keep the love going? How do you keep it fresh? How do you continue to want to face another year?
There's every morning, every day when you wake up, you make a decision intentionally to love each other. Or for me now, I intentionally, when you wake up, I said, you're the most beautiful. And I really do that. Eh? Yeah. I wake up and I said, you're the most prettiest girl on earth. And then she's really become pretty. The more I say it, the more pretty she got. And I think that is making the day. And so we carry on and give compliments and give, say good things, for each other. That is, I think that is just one amazing.
Just remember that the Bible says that life and death lies in the power of the tongue. And it's the same for your marriage. You can speak. You can choose to speak life over your marriage, or you can choose to speak death over your marriage. You can choose to speak life over your spouse, or you can choose to speak death over your spouse. I remember that when Shaw was so awkward, that was many years ago.
The big sinner.
The big sinner. That the Lord spoke to me and he said to me, but you are calling him spineless. You are calling him weak. You are calling him not good enough. You're speaking these words all the time. And I remember the Lord said to me, it was somehow in my days that he said to me, change what you say over your husband. Now that was awkward because I am not that kind of person really, but I just started calling him handsome because it became easier. handsome hunk. And then as I called him, handsome, come here, handsome, my words became life in our marriage and in our relationship. I also started laughing at his jokes because those jokes were very boring at times. And somebody, as once said to me, my husband's so boring, I don't want to be with him. Well, I felt the same. But when I started speaking life, it changed how the whole relationship went, because life is life. And the more we speak that, and also try and avoid discussing your husband negatively or your wife negatively with people, because that will always remain. Those are words, it's prophetic words. You're prophesying over them. You're prophesying death or life. So don't allow that. Just avoid it at all costs. And then I do believe to say thank you, not just to say thank you when you are a man and you are ready for sports tonight, but to always be thankful for many little things. But also when you want money, the woman, you want money from your husband, don't just say thank you then. Say thank you. Thank you. An attitude of gratitude changes a lot of things in the house. So that's me.
Sure. Wow. No, Novi and Wes, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I can say that, in a marriage and how we keep our love going is that don't sweat the small stuff, don't go and the question that we need to not to stress about the little things, not putting on the toothpaste cap, for instance, not letting the toilet, not flushing the toilet, but letting the toilet seat down. There's little things that people stress about, and they actually go as far as wanting to divorce over small things. Even in your finances as well, you need to have one mind when it comes to finances, because I also know that when there's financial troubles, my mom said that you come when financial problems come into the front door, love goes out the back door, right? But in financially as well, you need to have good communication with each other. Um, you Everybody needs to know where you are financially in the house, and so on. And communication is very, very important, that you must have between husband and wife. And as I said, you must know your wife's love languages. Just touch on those love languages. Know his acts of service. Right? If I want to see her smile, I just fix a cupboard. If I want to smile, I just work in the garden a bit. Then she's all smiles, and the bad mood is gone. I do something, then so know your partner's love languages, and that helps a lot to keep. And don't sweat the small stuff, man. Don't stress about silly things in your marriage, and that keep the life and good communication, of course.
Yeah. On our wedding day, I will never forget, on our wedding day, our pastor that married us said that we must never stop playing. So we play. We play with each other. We play with the children. We play with the cat. We play to keep the love going. And he also said that love is a discipline, and it's not only based on emotions. Because if it's only based on emotions, the day that I don't like you, or you do something that I don't like, I don't love you. It doesn't work that way. It's a discipline. So even if there's disagreements amongst us, the disagreement doesn't give us permission to fall out of love, because love is a discipline. So we need to be disciplined in the way we love each other, that irrespective of, I will still continue to love you. There might be disagreements, but I will still love you, and we will still enjoy our marriage, and we will still create memories. It's our responsibility to create memories for ourselves and memories for our children. We cannot look at other people to do that. It's our responsibility. So we keep on loving each other, and we keep on doing fun stuff together, and we keep on creating memories for ourselves and for our generation.
That is such awesome nuggets. I hope that everybody's watching. And again, if there's somebody that you're thinking of when you are hearing these things, tag them in the feed. You never know what someone's going through and how this can help them in this situation. You know, I'm mentioning the word change throughout the whole evening, and I just want to do this in closing because I see our time is fleeting. You know, I think of the serenity prayer. I know it's one of those prayers that can sometimes feel like a cliche thing, but you know, the serenity prayer is help me to change the things I can, help me to accept the things I can't, and help, you know, give me the wisdom to know the things between. In closing, and I'll start with Novi and Wes, you know, with all the changes that you've been through, what is there one that you can point out that might have been the game changer in, you know, in the way that your marriage went, that, you know, the thing where that prayer could have taken into consideration? Because I can imagine that 30 years somewhere along the line, there might have been a point, and there's a decision that has to be made. How can you?
You know, yeah, we say love and respect is very important between each other. She loves me and I respect her. Or I respect. I love her and she respects me. That is really important. And that came through very early in our marriage. Is where now we could easily, because she's a very independent woman, and it was something small where she could have made a decision on her own, right? But she asked the people just to hang on because she first had to consult with her with her husband. And when I came home, she consulted with me, and so I asked her, why don't you make the decision? Just say yes. And she said, I need to respect you. I cannot make decisions on my own were involving the family. So, and actually that really, that incident might look for some people as not important, but in our marriage at that time, that was a very important decision whereby my wife really loved me and respected me so much that she would not make any decision, how small, would not make anything without me and without consulting me. And that really have a little change in our marriage and our relationship from that time onwards.
Wow.
For
Novi?
me, the hole in the door. The hole in the door is still there. We don't close. We decided not to fix it. We decided not to replace the door because that was the game changer for me. And that happened in the first 3 months of our marriage when we had this discussion of I told him I sacrificed a whole independent life in Namibia to come and live with you. But here I am in your house now, and you're not prepared to give up certain things so that we can work together in our marriage. And that how het hom so vererg dat hy die 'n gat in die deur gaan slaan het. You went to the door and you hit a hole in the door. And it's still there because that is a reminder for me that on that specific day we decided this is teamwork. We need to work together as a team. If we want this to become a winning game, we need to work together as a team. And 30 years later, we're still working together as a team.
That's amazing. I love it. The hole in the door. Charles and Marianne, the game-changing change that you would say would be a foundation in your marriage today.
I think for me was when we did the personality profiles, and I got to learn that Charles will never be me and I will never be him. And he learned that as well. And I don't have to be anybody else but me. And it really helped us. Also, when we learned about love languages, it became a real game changer. It changed when I'm uptight, then Charles knows this is in my personality because I'm a driver personality. And I'm also into acts of service. So that works well for me. I understand that Charles is in another profile that we did. with Marganger, and he's a happy country person. So he likes happiness, peace, harmony, and everything to go just smoothly. And then he's a loving person. He likes to touch, he likes to kiss. And when we learned that, it really made it easier because we understood that, I understood that when Shaw asks me about the money matters, that he wasn't just being difficult, it's just his natural inclination. He just needed to know. So that was the game changer for me.
I think the game changer for me also, this is also the personality. You know, when I really found out that Marianne was this type of personality, and you know, I can't change that because when she was born in the mother's womb, she was he called her by name, and that's how he made her. I can't change that, even if I want to. I'm not God, so I have to come to terms with that. And the moment I come to terms with that, everything changes. When Marianne goes to in a certain situation, in a certain mood, in a certain if she talk a certain way or react a certain way, then as a personality, there's nothing I can do about it. And it helped me quite a lot that person you have to treat like that. And I think also identity, you know, I realized Marianne got her own identity. I can't change that. You know, many years ago, I wanted to suppress her, you know, the drinking and the smoking days, suppress her from the ministry. And that was the moment I allow her to be her own identity. Because ministry is her life, that's her passion. The moment I released her from that and allow her to live her own identity, everything changed in the house or in our married life.
Wow, that is amazing nuggets. And what I like is each story is different. And it just goes to show that, you know, for those that are in any relationship, there's a lot that you are always learning. I just want to thank our speakers for everything that they've shared. I see we're growing to a close now. I just want to ask Charles and Marianne, can you just tell us a bit about the unbreakable marriage that is coming up, as well as the pre-marriage, and why would people want to sign up for that?
All right, yes, we are starting the year off again with our Unbreakable Marriage series, of which you and Justin are teaching on finances, incidentally.
Very good.
Which is
amazing.
A topic that is so underscored, and people don't understand how important finances are. We also talk about the vision for your marriage. We teach about love and respecting, and all sorts of other things during the 4 weeks of Unbreakable Marriage. Now that starts on the 26th of February. 26th of February. And it's very important that you phone Word of Faith Christian Center to register, or you can just send us a message on this feed and we will find it, and then we will phone you and contact you back. There is a charge to that. But on the 26th of February, also that weekend, just for a weekend, the Friday and the Saturday, we are doing the Until Forever pre-marriage course. Now that is phenomenal. There we teach our couples as well what is your personality type, how the two of you clash, how to talk, who is on the inner circle, who's on the outer circle, about finances, and having a vision for your family. These courses are brilliant. And you know, this is what worries me sometimes, is that men in general say there's nothing wrong with our marriage.
Oh yes, yeah, definitely. Nothing wrong.
Because there's nothing wrong with your marriage. And you are not even aware that it's because it's a Foxian. No, it's not true.
No.
But men in general.
Always, when we got a bit of a trouble with a couple, I will ask a man, listen, how are you doing? No, fine. Then I said to Marianne, listen, phone your wife and ask how you're doing. Then I hear the true story.
The true story. Because men don't like. But I would like to challenge the men out there. You know what? That is your one big investment. Did you know that your marriage is the one thing that is for the rest of your life? Yeah. And nobody gets married to get divorced. Yeah. Let's not go that way. Let's work and invest and plan. And even if you say, I know it all, that's fine. Let's just refresh your mind. Yeah. Because it's true. People do know it all. But like when Wesley was speaking, we learned, because it's important to never stop learning, because if you're not growing, you are dying.
Yeah. Also with the Unbreakable Marriage, we had some golden oldies coming, and young people like Tish and Justin teach us, and they actually they change, everything changed, because you know, I want to say to the men, come to the unbreakable marriage and you actually find out this girl is actually a nice girl you married to.
Yes.
She's actually a nice chick. You will find out.
That is awesome. I definitely agree with the term in investing. I also want to encourage couples, don't not go to something like this because your marriage is in a good space. It's, I think we shouldn't always wait till we're at breaking point before we decide we're going to get involved in something to fix it. I know with us in our first year of marriage, myself and Justin, we moved to East London just after we got married. And that was a big change. And we had no support. We had to leave church, family, and everything in PE. So what we did, to safeguard our marriage in the first year was in the church that we were attending, we got involved in what they were giving to, I think it was called Marriage 101, and they did a 10-week course. So we did it without having any problems in our marriage, because it's always important to reinvest in your marriage. As Charles and Marianne put it so nicely, nobody plans to marry to get divorced. So it's always important to keep putting back in so that you don't go that way. So I just want to thank our guests this evening. Thank you, Wesley and Novi, for joining us this evening. And I'm sure we will have you back again, because you sound like you have a lot more interesting stories to share. And as you heard from Charles and Marianne, sign up for the Unbreakable Marriage. I know that we are following all the protocols under lockdown. We can meet, and if we can't meet in person, we are considering a Zoom course, but do yourself a favor, sign up for it, learn from others. I think the best is to learn from other people and what they're going through, so that you realize you're not in this alone. And just in closing, just a few house announcements. Next week, Sunday, is Valentine's Day, and we have the mother of the house, Pastor Mariana Crumpton, preaching at our 9 a.m. service. This will also be our last 9 a.m. service for the time being. As the 21st of February, we will move over to 2 services. So we will have a 8 o'clock service, which is in-house, limited to 50 people. And then at 10 a.m., we will have an outside service where we encourage you to come with your chairs, your gazebo, as a family, to come park outside, where we can at least have 100 people. And that will be from the 21st of February. And then next week in our 7 o'clock slot, we will have a panel of many different people, and we will be breaking down the myths around Valentine's Day, taking the pressure off and just hearing from different walks of life the experience of Valentine's Day. So we're going to be tackling that at the 7 o'clock slot. In closing, is there any last word from our couples before we say goodbye? Wesley and Novi, I'll start with you.
I just want to say that there's something that I wrote down, that it's not about that, as Wes mentioned earlier, we are not perfect, and we learn from experience. What we say is what we experienced, and not only us, but what we learned and saw in other couples' lives. And we need to constantly acknowledge that we are dependent on God to give us the wisdom to know how to manage and to navigate these changes. And how do we do that? We need to belong to a church. We need to have a relationship with God. We need to belong to a church that will make us accountable. We need to belong to a connect group, either be a member of a connect group or run a connect group, because that makes you accountable. So for me, the word accountability stands out. We need to be accountable, not only to my partner or my spouse, but to my inner circle and to my outer circle, the people that I interact with on a daily basis. Our lives is an open book. People don't listen to what we say. People see how we live, and they learn from how we live.
Amen.
Yeah, I can concur and agree with Novi. We need to make, as I said earlier already, we need to make the Lord our pillar in our marriage, and we need to calm down, have more fun in our marriage, enjoy your marriage. Don't stress about the small stuff. in your marriage. Your wife loves you. You love your wife. And just think about that. Don't stress about the small stuff in your marriage.
Thank you. Charles and Marianne?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I just muted us. Now that is very important. Don't mute yourself in the marriage. Sulking is manipulation.
Yeah.
Stop sulking and have a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. You want something to say about, yeah, the last thing I want to say is, yeah, just have fun. That's it. If I say have fun, it's not fun like dancing up and down. I think, of course, we're talking about changing. When things change, you mustn't change. I mustn't change. When situations change in the house or things happening, I mustn't change. I must be the same person that tell Marianne every morning she's the most beautiful person, bring her tea in a bed, be nice with her, smile with her. I must not change. That's a message I'm sending to the men. Don't let circumstances change you.
Awesome. Thank you once again for the wonderful wisdom that you've shared. It was lovely to have you all with us this evening. Thank you to the viewers at home. And we hope that you have a blessed week further. And until we meet again next week, Sunday,